So I figured I should probably say what was my motivation when I started doing the real estate thing. And when I was I guess I was in maybe high school. I read a book, and I can't even remember the name of it. It was something of the effect of how to acquire $1 million worth of real estate with no money down, blah blah blah. There's millions of them with them titles, I'm sure. Um, the book was extremely technical, and it was hard to read. It was hard to read. It was hard to wrap your mind around all those numbers that was in the book. But it got me slightly interested in the thing. And then my parents, my mom mainly. My dad didn't talk about it too much, but my mom, she wanted to do the same thing, and they had their opinions of it. And it seemed like a great idea. I mean, even as a child, it's like, the idea of making money for not putting in much work, it seems like a great idea. um but anyway, I eased through life a little bit. And uh say about 2 years ago, I was watching. My daughter's bringing me my keys back. Thank you, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
I was watching YouTube videos, and I was watching a lot of podcasts, listening to podcasts, and they were talking about their favorite books. And on just about every podcast, they talked about Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So one day I decided, I'll read it. And well, unlike the first book, it was incredibly easy to read. It was because it was entertaining, and he had stories, little funny stories that he was talking about, and that made the book kind of appeal to me more and made more sense to me than the book I read years prior to that. And that's kind of what got me to really thinking. And it honestly is not really even that great of a book, other than the entertaining value. It's like it's mostly entertainment with a little bit of education, thrown in there, almost like, I don't know, snuck in there, so you're learning stuff without knowing you're learning stuff, I guess. And but yeah, that was the first book that I read. And well, not the first. It was the second book I read on real estate investing, on investing, and how you should the difference between assets and liabilities and all that stuff. I'd never thought about stuff like that. It never occurred to me that the house I live in wasn't making me any money. I mean, because all my life I remember in like '01, '02, a guy who I thought had his stuff together. He told me that owning your own home is the best investment you can make. And then, how? I mean, then it made sense to me. Oh, yeah, you own your own home. That's a great investment, But now, thinking about it, owning your own home, it's not paying you anything. You're not making any money off of it. You're avoiding paying rent. And honestly, even avoiding paying rent, I mean, what is that, I mean, if I could rent a place for whatever and live where I want to, but still buy other properties and rent them out, I could pretty much be wherever I wanted to be, Like, maybe I don't want to live here. Maybe I want to live at the lake, So let me go ahead and rent this house out. And, maybe I've got enough money then to rent me a lake house year round, and I could be living at the lake. It's not necessarily the case. This is where I want to live right now. I'm still working. I ain't but 5 minutes from my job, and you can't beat that, without having to, without actually just waking up and walking downstairs and already being at work, which that's a dream, isn't it? But yeah, it's a great book. The Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's a great book to start with. Um, a better book, in my opinion, is The Richest Man in Babylon. I think it's George Clason, I believe was the author of that one's name. And that book is written entirely in Old English, so it sounds like the Bible when you're reading it. And you know, as far as investing goes, it might as well be, in my opinion. Um, but that's got little stories to keep you entertained too. But I mean, it drives in the step-by-step guide to everything, man. Getting your debt under control, financing. I mean, every little thing. You know, getting your house in order and just getting getting right. You know, getting right with your money. You know. So if I had one, you know, I had to. If you were going to read one book this year, I would definitely suggest The Richest Man in Babylon. Um, I've also read F.U. Money, and it's okay. Skip it, I'd say. You know, I'd say this year, read Richest Man in Babylon. Next year, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The year after that, I don't know. I'm going to have to find another good one. I hadn't found another one that really drives it in like those two do. Um, but anyway, yeah, definitely read something. Uh, but I would definitely suggest The Richest Man in Babylon. Anyway, if you found us to be helpful, or you know, hit the subscribe button, shoot me up a like, you know, all that good stuff. Also, please, if there's anything you want me to talk about, really, really do run out of ideas of stuff to talk about. This one right here, I've been thinking about for a few days, so it didn't work out. Well, it did work out, you know, but you know, I'm running out of ideas of stuff to talk about. Anyway, thank you for your time, and I'll be talking to you soon.